Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good day and welcome to the Delta Report this Monday, the 6th of June, 2022. Thank you for tuning in. I'm glad to have you guys here. We're going to take a look at some of the top stories in the news today. Just going to take a quick run through. In the world here, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson to face a confidence vote today. I wonder how that'll go. Remember, they had something in Britain there. It was called the Partygate not long ago. That must have affected public opinion of Boris Johnson to that will still be a certain effect upon public opinion upon Boris Johnson. And here it says that Russia hits Kiev with missiles. I'm going to tell you guys something. There's a reason for that. The administration said, this is in the United States, they said, okay, we're not going to send long-range missiles to Ukraine. Okay? And then, in a counter decision, they decided to send long-range missiles to Ukraine. The reasoning why they said they didn't want to send long-range missiles to Ukraine was they said because Ukraine could use long-range missiles to attack Russia on Russian territory, which could be a major escalation. But then they decided against it. They decided to send them the long-range missiles. So they sent them 4 batteries, from what I understand, of long-range missiles to Ukraine. Well, this is a response. Russia is hitting Kiev with missiles. Cruise missiles, I think, is what Russia used. I think they used 4 cruise missiles. And they struck in locations. It's already happened, in other words. So it's kind of a tit for tat sort of thing going on. And as far as the war in Ukraine right now is I figure it's nearly a stalemate. It's like, I wouldn't say it's a stalemate right now, but it's one of these things where it's turning into like a war of attrition. It could go on for a very long time. Now, in other news, it says Royal Jubilee, Queen Elizabeth's 70 years, Royal Jubilee, the Royal Jubilee. The people in Britain right now are suffering. Food prices are going up. Some of them can't even put together a proper meal, because of food prices. And they have to take that into consideration, how they're maybe have to pay rent, maybe the rent's coming due, maybe they got phone bills, maybe they got electrical bills, and prices are going up astronomically high for gasoline. Maybe they got car payments, gosh only knows, and maybe they're having to eat food that they don't like to eat. Maybe they can't afford anything but a bowl full of oatmeal and it has to last all day, sort of a thing, Think about how much food is going to be wasted at these Royal Jubilees and stuff. Platters and platters and platters and platters and platters of the stuff will probably get dumped in the trash. They come along and they've probably already ate, and they got this big platter full of caviar there, and they'll go over and take one little nibble of it, And then the sun will come out and hit it for an hour or two, and then they'll dump it all in the garbage. Stuff like that's going on. Just tremendous waste of food and resources. And I mean, it's sick how one side of the population is suffering and hasn't got enough good food to eat, and then the other side of the population, there's another side, the rich mucky mucks. I'll just label them rich mucky mucks. Have more than plenty, and an awful lot of food goes to waste. Our world is upside down. Everything's run wrong the way it should be run. Our world should be run with productivity, and there's very little productivity because of all of the corruption within the system. Ukraine says it pushes back against Russian troops in eastern battlefield city of... How do they pronounce some of these words? I'm just going to read it. This Sieverodonesk. How do you pronounce that? See, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that, the name of that city. That is a real hard one. But well, anyway. It says 9 dead in 3 mass shootings across the United States. Oh, I mean, that's terrible. But, on the other side of that coin is, I just don't even want to get into that. I'm not even going to talk about it. Scientists warn that future temperatures will test humans' ability to survive. Yeah, we're all going to freeze to death. So scientists warn future temperatures will test humans' ability to survive. Or maybe we'll cook. I don't know. This world's always been a horrendous place for survival. People don't realize it. We've been through a quiet period. This lasted now for the last couple 100 years. But that's not the norm for our planet. The norm for our planet is to have giant rocks falling from space. We can see the crater holes from where they've hit in the past. Giant, enormous events of titanic proportions, of continent shifting type earthquakes and volcanoes. Right here in the United States of America, we got a volcano that's so big that if it blew up, it would take out the whole continent, called Yellowstone. And it's active now, and it was dormant for the longest time, and it blows off every once in a while. Now, here's another article. 15-year-old Ukrainian drone pilot helped destroy a Russian army column. This is the way it's going. Warfare's completely changed. Completely changed. They got these new rail guns, and they've also got lasers now. And targeting is getting so much more effective than it used to be. Now think about this for a minute, With these new lasers that they can fire up into space, it's going to render the ICBM absolutely useless ultimately. Now, the tanks. Tanks are already pretty much useless. They go through the battlefield. What use is a tank if a soldier's off there, say 5 miles away, a soldier, he can use a drone that's the size of an insect to scope out and see where the tank is. The tank can't even see this drone-sized. Seriously, they look like a little dragonfly. They're no bigger than a dragonfly. They get these little drones that the soldier can put in his backpack, size of a dragonfly. It can fly out there like 2 miles away, and it can see the entire battlefield and plot where all the tanks are. And it flies back. The little drone flies back. Okay? And then they put on a shoulder-held thing that they carry in their bag that only weighs about 20 pounds or so, that fits right on their shoulder, and a missile comes out of it, and it follows the targeting that the drone laid out for them. And it blows up the tanks. I mean, what use are the tanks? And so tanks are becoming ineffective. And now the ICBMs that carry the nuclear warheads from one country to another, they're soon going to become ineffective. And the reason why is because they can use a laser now. Now, see, when they used to use a missile to try to hit the missile that's coming in. You got an ICBM that launched from space. It's going to come in. It's going to blow up your country. And they used to try to hit it with a missile, which is very difficult. And a missile costs a lot of money. Now they got laser technology and the new tracking and everything that they got. They'll just be able to shoot a laser. It only costs like $3 worth of electricity to fire up the laser. Well, what did it cost the other country to make the ICBM? The ICBM might be 60 feet long, 70 feet long, and it might weigh 30 tons, and it's got a nuclear warhead on, and that nuclear warhead is only any good if it can get into its target. And if it's coming in and all of a sudden some sort of a laser just goes pip, pip, bang, blows it up on its way in to re-entry, it just becomes space junk then. And what does it cost? $2 to fire up the laser? Ah, there you go. You know, it's going to render the ICBMs useless. And so, what are these countries trying to do? Like Russia and stuff? They're trying to create ways around that. What they're trying to do is they're trying to create these new, uh, what they call hypersonic, which travels 7 or 8 times the speed of sound, and it travels low to the ground so it can't be detected by these laser-based systems. So what's happening now with these drones? Like it says, this 15-year-old Ukrainian drone pilot helped destroy a Russian army column. Yeah, I mean, warfare is switching. One is becoming asymmetrical, and two, it's changing in how, and this has been proven by Ukraine. Their use of drones and their use of these things like Stinger missiles and stuff like that has put a tremendous dent. And this is what's happened. Why you have a country as big as Russia attacking a small country like Ukraine, and the war has basically come to a I'm not going to say a standstill, but it hasn't progressed as fast as it could have progressed. Because Russia is a major military power, a tremendous military power. And what's Ukraine? Just a little country, little Ukraine. I mean, they're not very big compared to the size of Russia. It's like, it's Russia's like 10 times the size or bigger, you know? Yet with this high technology, this is changing the battlefield. And it's opening up the eyes, I suppose, to an awful lot of these battlefield planners and stuff. The guys that build these weapon systems are saying, hey, warfare's just changed. Drones are coming into a big play now into warfare. They're going to make a big play for everything else. It could be very dangerous to society itself. Can you imagine little tiny drones the size of a fly? And maybe they got a little tiny charge on them, and they might come and land on you, and bang! A little tiny drone looks like a horsefly, comes flying after you, and it lands on you, and then bang! Have just a charge on it, just big enough. And they could, they'd be deadly. They can make stuff like that now, if you can believe it. Weapons that are just absolutely terror weapons. At least 49 dead, 100 injured after a Bangladesh container fire. A fire at Bangladesh container depot. They've had so many of these accidents now that affect the food chain. This is a container depot, but is it a food container depot? Bangladesh container fire, leaves 40 dead. That's a big fire to have 40 dead. I'm going to tell you right now. Tennessee shootings. America's deadly weekend of more mass shootings. Says raises the stakes for Senate gun talks. Let's see, what else will we see here? The Chinese fighter planes intercept Australian aircraft during routine activity. Yeah, China's very aggressive. Do you know China tried to form a pact with all those countries out there? There's like 10 countries in the Pacific. These countries are the countries that are like, these islands and stuff, out in the Pacific and stuff. And it didn't go through. Didn't go through. They didn't join China. I just heard that today. Says the Queen makes an appearance on a palace balcony during the final day of the Platinum Jubilee celebrations. It says, Platinum Jubilee, the Queen appears in a hologram in gold state coach as London street pageant show now in full swing. Biden evacuated after plane entered restricted airspace near Delaware beach home. And a lot of this news is about the Queen's Jubilee. Ukraine is getting rockets and tanks from the West, but frontline soldiers are scrounging for bullets. Yeah, I imagine an awful lot of bullets have flown around in this war, and I imagine they've went through piles of them. The Ukrainians have. Anyway, listen, guys, that's about all the news that's happening right now. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Delta Report, and you guys have a great rest of the day. Bye-bye.